All right, welcome back. We got our weekly stock market update and another all-time high for the markets. Another strong week here. We've got the S&P up 2.7% and the Nasdaq up 2.4% on the week, and it's a short week. Market is closed tomorrow for 4th of July. You've got the bond market here pretty flat. It was making a nice move in the bonds early in the week, and we gave some of that back today and yesterday. And then cryptocurrency looking strong. Gold is pretty flat on the week. And let's go ahead and look at some individual names here for the week. You've got some nice moves here in Apple up 6%, Nvidia up 2%, Google 4%, Oracle 12%, Amazon up 5%. So some of those large cap tech names that have been flat are starting to make their next move. Tesla down 3% this week, another Trump-Elon fight at the beginning of the week. Tesla dropped on that news and rallying back after that. Let's see, Palantir down 7%. You had some of the high flyers just get deflated a little bit, but after hitting new all-time highs. And everywhere else, very, very green here. You can see there's barely any red here on the screen, so a very strong week for the markets. When we look at individual names, let's look at the Nasdaq first. Again, strong week here. We hit the all-time high and we haven't looked back. We are just ripping here for the Nasdaq. Pretty unbelievable that we are up 38% from our tariff low here back at the end of April. So unbelievable move for the Nasdaq. Now let's take a look at the SPY. Same looking chart here. Just blasted through the all-time high and looking very strong. S&P is up 29% from its tariff low. So that's looking nice. Let's take a look here at oil. Not doing anything ever since we got rejected from that trend line. We're just chopping sideways here around 66 bucks. Gold chopping sideways here, consolidating near the all-time highs. The dollar is still in a free fall. A little bit of a bounce the last day or so, but if we zoom out even more, pretty large drop here on the dollar. Let's see, volatility. We are at relative lows on the volatility. We had a little bit of a spike, a little percolation here at the beginning of the week, but just any rise in the VIX, it's just going right back down to these relative lows here. So market's in a pretty complacent mood right now. Let's take a look at the 10-year yield. We're at 4.3. Again, bonds were looking nice. We had this move down in the yields, little spike up these last couple of days. We did have the bill that was passed today, so we will see what the details are on that. Again, the market doesn't care anymore about tariffs, doesn't care about wars, doesn't care about bills. It just keeps moving higher. So until something has a relative effect on earnings, the market is just looking forward and keeps chugging along here. Anything else we need to look at before we get into individual names? I don't think so. Let's look at the Russell 2000. I think it had like 6 days in a row of green. Looking strong here. We are still getting closer to our all-time high here of 2,500 bucks for the Russell, but not quite there yet. Let's see, the Russell is 25% from its recent low. All right, let's get into some individual names. Tesla, it's a dirty looking chart. So we dipped down here to 289 at the beginning of the week, and we are pulling back up since then. Tesla had their delivery numbers. They were lower than expected, but they barely missed. So really, it wasn't that bad. I thought it was going to be a lot worse quarter for them. Maybe they're getting some pull forward with the EV tax credit going away. But that sent the stock back up after seeing those delivery numbers. Yes, they're down year over year, but people were expecting a lot worse numbers, and they really weren't that bad at all. Amazon looking really nice here, 223, 240. I think we chug along up to 240 there for Amazon. especially if we get some more tariff deals done and get some more certainty on the trade negotiations when it comes to Amazon, which seems like each week we get a deal announced and less fear on the tariffs. Amazon's their retail business is going to be pretty heavily affected if there are large tariffs, and it seems like there's going to be less and less tariffs and more deals. Nvidia, all-time high this week, all-time high today, 160. So congratulations to all the Nvidia holders out there. Awesome move, awesome stock. Let's see here. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a nice move up this week. Any wick we get to the downside, it is just quickly bought up. We had another wick to the downside at the beginning of the week and just boom, shot straight up after that. So we are just a couple thousand away from all-time highs. I need to make a crypto video because there's so much going on right now with regulation and adoption of crypto. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on out there, and you're seeing some names like Robinhood benefiting from what is to come. Some new products they've announced are pretty exciting, and just the stock is killing it. I haven't used too much Robinhood, but I was on their platform recently, and they've done a great job rebounding from the whole GameStop debacle. Coinbase, huge move here on Coinbase. Personally, I did sell some Coinbase and rotate it into Tesla stock, and I'm going to look to take some profits from Coinbase and just buy some more Bitcoin. And I will look to get back into Coinbase once we get under that 280 level. I've just seen Coinbase do this too many times where it makes a just insane move up and then it'll pull back down, make another insane move up. And I had Coinbase in my trading account, so I was looking to lock in some profits at the end of the quarter, and that's what I did for Coinbase. Let's take a look at Google. Google looking nice here, 180. We were here not too long ago. We got rejected, so we'll see if we can break through and maybe push towards all-time highs for Google. Again, this is just a phenomenal company. Google and Apple, I think, are some of the best opportunities if you haven't bought anything yet. These are great companies with tremendous cash flows, but the narrative around the stock is these companies are falling behind when it comes to AI, but these companies still have just great business models that they'll be able to monetize AI eventually. We'll see how they do that. I don't think these companies are going to completely drop the ball on AI. So let's look at Apple. Really nice move here this week on Apple. It seemed just like a matter of time. If the market was going to keep moving up, Apple needed to participate. Now we are coming up to some resistance here around 220. We'll see what happens there. But some people rotating into Apple, maybe selling some of their winners to go into some of the laggards, or just rotating in general. Uber, let's take a look. Pushing near its all-time high again. Seems like $100 is where Uber wants to be. We'll see when we get there. Palantir, again, just a small little pullback. I'm waiting for this name to roll over, but I've been waiting for 2 years, so anytime Palantir gets a pullback, I just expect it to rip back up the next day. AMD has had a really nice move here. Semiconductor name. Not a competitor necessarily to Nvidia, in my opinion. They're just another player in the chip space. All the chips are looking really good. The SMH, this is a crazy looking chart. I mean, we just skyrocketed out of here. And it looks, this chart is identical to Nvidia. It's just the same thing. You're just getting an ETF. And Nvidia is a large piece of the SMH, so it makes sense that they're going to look similar. Let's see, anything else to talk about? Individual names. Meta, a little bit of a pullback this week on how much they're spending on getting some AI talent, but who knows where this goes. Microsoft, all-time high, $500. Anything else to look at here? I don't think so. So let's get into some of the news. Economic data, let's pull that up. We had a lot of data this week. Let's take a look. The jobs number. We had a jobs number ADP on Wednesday. This number was minus 33,000 jobs with an expectation of adding 100,000 jobs. So it was a huge miss. And ADP is a third-party company. So that was interesting on Wednesday to see that. It kind of made everyone think that today's jobs number was going to be terrible. And then we get the non-farm payrolls today. It was up 150,000 jobs versus 111 estimated. I don't know what to make of this. You have one jobs number that's terrible, one jobs number that's really good. So who knows? And then the producer manufacturing index that came in line. So again, like that's good news. The unemployment rate came in a little lower than expected. So that's good news for the economy. Doesn't look like any of this information gives the Fed the green light to cut rates in July. So we'll have to wait and see. Next week, what do we got? July. We've got the Fed meeting minutes and unemployment claims. So really not a whole lot next week, which is nice after a holiday weekend. I'm sure everyone's going to be slow to start off the week, and there's not going to be a lot of data next week, so that's good. And then we'll start earnings up here within a few weeks. I think there's some names like Tesla that have earnings in the mid to end of July, so that'll be good. That'll bring some catalyst to the markets. But that is about it for this week. Not a whole lot else to talk about. Again, there's a lot of news in the world, but the market just keeps plugging along. And I think the market is seeing that a lot of money is going to be printed. A lot of money is going to be sloshing around in the economy. These businesses look good. The economy looks good. And so why sell your assets because of something that's going on across the world if it doesn't affect your story of the company and the earnings of the company? So people are staying productive and constructive on the stock market and on equities. I'm still constructive when it comes to a lot of these names. I'm not an aggressive buyer. I'm doing a little rotation here, a little rotation there. If a name drops because of a stock specific news, maybe I'll take advantage. But as far as dollar cost averaging and things like VOO and SPY and the Qs, not really doing any of that. Maybe if we get a 1%, 2% down day, for accounts that really need to get some allocation, I will start buying again. But until we get some more red days, just not doing a whole lot when it comes to the market as a whole. But individual names, there's still going to be some opportunities, like a Google, like an Apple, like a Tesla on a dip. If Nvidia drops, I almost bought some Nvidia the other day, but there's just no follow through on these red days. So the buyers are relentless. And there's a lot of good news out there. There's a lot of good reason when it comes to these businesses and technology. Now, if you're following politics and all that stuff, it's easy to want to pull your hair out based on what you see on the news. But if you look at the company's balance sheets and how they're performing, there's a lot of good news out there. And the technology that they're producing, it's a pretty exciting time. So that is all I got for you guys for this market update. Look for a crypto market update coming this weekend. And happy 4th of July, everybody. Peace out.